Good morning on this Tuesday, the 3rd of June, 2014. Milton Baker and Sandy Alexander with you on the Community Profile. Sandy, the executive producer of the show, has another fine guest lined up for us today. Sandy, would you please say good morning and introduce our guest?
I will be happy to. As always, we were glad to have Chief Jeff Cash from the Cherville Fire Department with us. And with July 4th coming up, and we just have Memorial Day, and a lot of people will be cooking out, and out come the firecrackers. So I know the fire department has some good advice to share with everybody about safety concerns. And unfortunately, every year we hear of somebody getting hurt, and sometimes pretty bad.
Yeah.
From not really knowing how to handle the fireworks or the proper safety measures to take. So, what do you want to tell us, Chief?
Well, first of all, good morning, Milton. Sandy, thanks for having us.
Anytime,
And
thank you.
we are excited about sharing with you. We want to make sure people stay safe with the upcoming holiday and all summer long. And you mentioned the fireworks. It is fastly approaching where a lot of people celebrate the 4th of July by utilizing fireworks. Our first recommendation is to leave that to professionals.
Yeah.
Go to a show that's done by professionals.
And sometimes even that can go wrong. So, there's a lot of danger involved in it. Yeah.
And the city will be having theirs here on July 3rd, which is Thursday, and it'll kick off around 6 p.m. with a DJ, food, some activities for the children, and then a band will be entertaining, a beach band, and then the fireworks will go off at about approximately 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So we just encourage everybody to be safe. The emergency rooms see a lot of activity around that time, so if you utilize fireworks, be extremely careful with them. Always follow the directions. Always have adult supervision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and well, of course, one thing about fireworks in North Carolina is they are illegal.
They
I
are
guess maybe not illegal to buy, but illegal to shoot the fireworks.
Exactly.
Couldn't quite understand that.
Yeah, it is illegal, and there's been some tragedies across the state over the years, and the Office of State Fire Marshal, the Department of Insurance has really tightened up on pyrotechnic specialists who actually are licensed and do the professional shows in an effort to keep communities safe.
Yeah, like I say, and even the most well-trained professionals at it, they have accidents. A couple of years ago at the beach, we were watching the fireworks show off the Cherry Grove Pier, and there was an accident about 10 minutes into the show, and some of the workers, the professionals, had to be hospitalized, and then the show was canceled after that point because of an accident, a major malfunction, if you will. So yeah, leave it to the professionals, but just keep your fingers crossed for them, because they could be hurt too.
Have a lot of burn injuries associated with fireworks, and a lot of projectile type injuries from fireworks exploding and the projectiles hitting people in the face, the eyes, that could cause permanent damage, and especially a lot of burns.
Mm-hmm. Well, 4th of July, of course, we associate with the fireworks, but summer in general, a lot of kids all over the place, out of school all day long. Maybe not so much, Jeff, like when you and I and Sandy were little, that we just ran here and there, but kids are still out and about on their bicycles, on their roller skates, whatever, not roller skates, but roller blades these days, skateboards, I guess. And drivers got to be watching for those kids who may be playing ball out in the yard, a ball rolling to the street, just all sorts of things. You could talk about summer safety.
One of the things you just mentioned, being mindful of kids darting out in the street after balls or skateboarding. Really need to be especially careful all the time, but especially when school lets out, because the kids are going to find something to entertain them. So slow down, be very cautious. And for the kids and adults who ride bikes and skateboards and rollerblades, they need to wear a helmet and knee and elbow protection, and they need to be mindful of traffic as well. Here in the city of Cherville, we have the skate park that's open, and that's a great place, a safe place to go and skate and skateboard. But if they do it on the streets, be very respectful of somebody else's property, and always be mindful of traffic, as for the skateboarders as well as for the drivers.
Yeah. Sandy, we did a show a couple of weeks ago about some young people injured in automobile accidents, brain injuries, the Brain
Yes, we
Bonanza
did.
program we did, and we found out then, as far as bicycle laws go about wearing helmets, the law is under 16?
I think it's the under 16 requires a helmet,
Yeah,
and it's just good common sense.
for anybody.
because,
It comes sense for anybody to wear one.
It can
really.
happen so quickly. This weekend, I took a group up to the mountains to ride bikes, and 2 ladies were severely injured, and thankfully they didn't have serious head injuries because they were wearing bicycle helmets.
That's good. Yeah. Sandy?
And the Brain Bonanza, it happens every year, so a kid can go and get fitted for a helmet, and it's of no cost to them. So if they don't have one now, please get one. But we'll be sure and remind everybody in plenty of time next year to be sure and get one.
Jeff, speaking of at no cost, do you still have the in the city of Cherryville for residents a no cost fire smoke detector program?
That's right, Milton. We still have a free smoke detector giveaway. All folks need to do is to call our business number at 704-435-1730, and we will line it out, and a couple of firefighters will come out and actually install free a smoke detector and educate you and your family on how to escape in the event of a fire and how to be prepared should we have some type of disaster here like a tornado or a severe thunderstorm, and they'll educate your family on what to do and the precautions to take in the event of emergency along those lines.
Yeah. Back in the wintertime, we talk about keeping warm and this and that, and unsafe ways people try to keep warm. Well, in the summertime, you've got unsafe ways people try to cook out, and you never want to use a charcoal grill indoors, of course.
Yes, when people utilize charcoal, it is a carbon-based product, so it will produce carbon monoxide. And if you'd bring that into a confined space, a garage, or heaven forbid, a home or a mobile home or a camper, that carbon monoxide, which is colorless, odorless, tasteless, can poison you, get you drowsy, put you to sleep, and can asphyxiate you. So always grill outside when you're cooking with gas. Always be mindful of leaks around your propane tank or your grill. Always check that prior to use, and always follow the manufacturer's instructions as it relates to cooking outdoors.
Yeah, don't try to take any shortcuts or try to any do-it-yourself repairs or anything to those propane grills and so forth.
Leave that to professionals.
Yeah, once again, leave it to the professionals. But this time of year, last year, we were getting a lot of rain. This year, we're not getting quite so much rain, and folks who'll be outdoors, like I say, usually the summertime activities, somewhere along the line there involves a flame, a grill, a firecracker, or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying we're in a drought right now or anything, but it is fairly dry out there.
Thankfully, we've had some showers recently, and I think we may get some this afternoon, but it is pretty dry. So it's important that you, if you're outside doing any type of open flame, that you be mindful, keep a garden hose nearby, dial 911 at the minute you think it's out of control, because it can spread so rapidly in dry conditions, and just be extremely mindful. And most of the time inside the city limits, you're going to have a permit to do any type of open burning other than those set aside for worship or some type of family cookout activity. Any type of burning of debris, grass, that type of stuff requires a permit from our office as well.
Yeah, and in the city of Cherryville, as I pass to and fro here and there during the day, you see a lot of yard clippings and things on the side of the road. So the city does pick that up.
City offers that service. It's picked up on a regular basis, and you can leave it out the street. If it's limbs, they have to be turned a certain way. 435-1700. That number goes to City Hall. They can give you all the parameters and ways that you're supposed to do it and how often and frequent the pickups are. But the city does offer that service as a way to discourage open burning inside the city limits.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Say anything you'd like to?
I remember growing up, we had burn barrels. Well, matter of fact, a gentleman brought me one last year, I think. And I'm very careful. Matter of fact, I don't even think I've even used it. But when I was growing up, we didn't have landfills, and people burned their garbage, and And I remember one time, a little flicker of a flame got out and it burned a little area, and it really wasn't that bad, but it scared us to death.
Yeah.
And so our daddy really taught us that, you don't play with fire. This is dangerous, and so we learned the proper way of even being around fire, and I was thinking too about the little sparkler things. That's as close to a firecracker as Daddy let us near. It was just a little thing you shook, it made you think you had a firecracker anyway.
They are very bad about setting the grass on fire,
Oh,
so you got to
yes,
be
they
careful
are.
with sparklers.
Yeah. Jeff, go ahead.
The big concern this time of year too, with this time of year in the summer, is thunderstorms.
Mm-hmm.
And recently we had one where the storms took down some power lines, and we want to really caution folks, if there are ever down power lines, please stay clear of them. We never know when they're energized or not till our city electrical crew gets on the scene and can establish that. And we have to assume everything is live electrical. So if there's a storm in your area and people want to venture out and look at damage, be very cautious. Your children, your family, you could easily step on a live electrical line and a tragedy could occur. So we always want to caution people this time of year with thunderstorms about those down power lines. Dial 911, notify us, we'll come out, secure the scene, try to keep everybody back so nobody will get hurt, and get our electricians, who are the professionals qualified to get those lines back up where they need to be.
And of course, for anyone listening outside Cherryville, most everything we're saying here today can apply to anywhere out there,
Whether it's Duke Power, REA, whatever power utility they're involved with, they apply, whether in the city limits or in Gaston, Cleveland, Lincoln County, or wherever.
Yeah. Heaven forbid another type tragedy that can occur and sometimes does occur in the summertime, swimming related incidents.
Very dangerous. Anytime there's a swimming pool or pond or a lake, kids will be tempted to, go swimming like we always used to. But always need to have adult supervision, have life jackets and reach poles, we call them, to make sure. And you can't turn your back on a small kid for even 1 second because a tragedy can occur. It can even occur in a bathtub. So that adult supervision with good training on CPR and first aid and being so watchful of kids around the swimming areas is so critical.
Yeah. Jeff, this may be a question for the police department, but maybe you can help answer it anyway. I'm sure you have knowledge in this area. Folks going on vacation, leaving their property, leaving their homes and stuff behind, don't make it obvious that you're gone.
Exactly. You want to make it look like it's lived in to discourage any attempts of burglary or robbery. And our police department has a service where you can call and they'll do special checks on your home while you're gone. It's always good to have a neighbor or family member to check on your property and keep regular checks. You don't want to leave the newspapers in the box or mail in your mailbox to give somebody that would be interested in breaking in your home or doing damage or trying to take your property, give them an indication that you are on vacation. So you would want to make sure your papers are collected, your newspaper, some lights are on, that it looks like some activities going on at your home.
Yeah.
I remember calling the newspaper and really just stopping our paper, and then I call them when we got back, so we wouldn't have that to deal with. But also, a lot of people use timers in their house. So at various times during the night or something, a light will come on, giving the impression that someone's at home. But
I always, when I leave, I always leave a live grizzly bear in my home.
That works well, too.
Yeah. He's trained not to.
With a shotgun,
He's trained to use the newspaper for the bathroom.
thank you, Milton. I knew at some point in time during this conversation that something would come out.
Well,
like
you
that.
know, it doesn't hurt to be on the safe side.
No.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. And the Cherryville Fire Department. Let's just ask a few questions about the fire department now. Of course, one of the most highly respected departments in the city, and one of the most highly respected fire departments around. Jeff, your department employs how many full-time and part-time firefighters?
We have 9 full-time folks, and that includes a clerical person. There's actually 8 full-time firefighters. We have a couple part-time people that fill in when the paid people. We have 32 volunteers. and they are the backbone of our organization. And we got great people that work for the fire department, and we got good support from our elected officials and our city manager, as well as the citizens of this community. So we're very proud. We're thankful for the nice facility we get to operate out of, and we're here to serve the citizens of Cherryville. That's our job.
Yeah, and you've been with the department overall and as chief how many years?
Been chief 29 years, been with the department 31, been in the fire service 34 years.
How about that? Okay. Well, that's an outstanding career, and keep up the good work. I mentioned before we went on the air, you guys had a little training exercise last night in right behind the old KFC building.
Yes, we was blessed by getting an old structure. We can talk about training, doing videos and lecturing, but there's nothing like hands-on training. So
Oh,
we was
yeah.
blessed to get a structure to burn for training, and the guys got some great hand-on experience. So we burned a residence down last night over off Black Street.
Yeah. So it's being a firefighter is something you can never just sit back and rest on your laurels, so to speak. It's constantly working to be up to date on the latest techniques and technology.
Training's a never-ending operation for the Cherryville Fire Department. Constantly training, trying to improve, trying to make the service we provide to citizens the best possible.
And another thing I'll mention, I've talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I just happened to be in an area in downtown Cherryville a few weeks back when a gentleman had a medical emergency. He was gone for all intents and purposes. I think he was gone, and quick reaction by some business people, at the folks at Hauser Drug, and then when the fire and the medics and everybody got there, you saved this man's life.
Actually, one of those employees was Barry Hevner, a full-time
Exactly,
firefighter, and
yeah.
Jill Pewitt, who is one of our elected officials who spent a lot of her career in the Cherryville Rescue Squad. So they actually saved the gentleman's life, and they were supported by fire and EMS, and the gentleman's doing well today. So a documented life saved.
Yeah, and
That's right.
you know, I felt so inadequate not knowing it. So anybody out there that would like to learn life-saving techniques, what could they do?
We offer classes. They can call and get on our waiting list, but at least once or twice a year we try to do a CPR class at the fire station taught by Chris Cash, one of our full-time drivers who's a certified CPR instructor. And once or twice a year we get enough folks, free of charge. They might have to pay $4 or $5 for their certification card from the agency that sponsors it. But we do CPR at the fire station. They can call 704-435-1730 and get on our waiting list, and we'll schedule a class for CPR and basic first aid.
Absolutely, that's something, you know. If you don't know it, like me, you need to.
And if
It's
you
never
don't-
too late to learn.
If you don't, 911. Dial
Yeah,
911.
911. Always 911. And let's see. One other question I had for you here was, what was it, Sandy? Read my mind.
I'm trying to. I can't get past the grizzly bear.
The grizzly bear. I'm sorry, I brought up the grizzly
Well, you
bear.
know, I think everybody, in all seriousness, should know CPR. Because, you know, I mean, you never know. We could be in a grocery store or here or anywhere and somebody be in need.
A family member.
Yes. And I would hate to know that I would just freeze and not know what to do. So I want to take the class.
I know what I was going to ask you now. As far as, do you still, can folks still come by the fire station for free blood pressure
Yes,
checks?
they can come by 8 to 5 or after hours. Anytime the guys are there, we're out a lot on calls. If they would come and couldn't get nobody to the door, that means they're probably out on a call. But anytime we're there, stop in, we do free blood pressure checks.
Yeah. So that's another great service offered by the City of Cherryville Fire Department. Just so many things. Well, again, the show, we wanted to touch on summer safety, July 4th safety, summer safety, but all these other emergency and safety tips aren't bad to hear it repeated a few times a year, just to keep it fresh in your mind. And if you haven't done so already, you know, back at the time change, we suggest you change the batteries in those smoke detectors.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't done it yet, might want to go ahead and do that.
And if there are senior adults who, we don't want them climbing any ladders or chairs, if they need that service, call us. We'll be glad to change those batteries for them as well.
Yeah, and one thing, Sandy, you've probably heard the public service announcement we've been running here on the radio station. And Jeff, you can add more to that. A evacuation plan, if your home is catches fire or any type of emergency at
It's
home.
critical that every family have an actual plan that everybody's trained on. They have a meeting place outside, have accountability checklist to look after each other. We actually call it an Edith plan. It's called Exit Drills in the Home. That's what it stands for, Edith. Have an exit drill in the home. So have a plan.
Have a plan. And when big crowds get together, the family goes, like to the 4th of July celebration, and there's little ones around involved. If somebody gets separated from mommy or daddy or grandma or grandpa, those children should be instructed to look for a police officer.
Police officer, firefighter, EMS personnel, somebody in uniform will assist them.
Yeah, so that, heaven forbid that could happen in any situation, whether it be in
Sure
Cherryville at the 4th of July celebration or maybe at the beach or some other venue where there's large crowds. Yeah.
Well, Jeff, too, and I think a lot of times we fail to properly thank you and other firefighters that do what you do. And I personally want to thank you for what you do, and other firefighters and our law enforcement officers. Anytime I go in the courthouse in Shelby for anything and I pass by a deputy, I just say thank you for your service, because we should thank them, for what they do for us and protect us and they're for us when we need them. And sometimes I think we just don't take the time to do it.
But we appreciate that, and I've been in the business of emergency services for a long time now, and it is a special breed of individuals because it's not really a job, it's a calling for
It
them
is,
to
yes.
have that servant's heart and serve their fellow man and their community.
And before long, we'll be coming up on another anniversary of the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center, et cetera. And the City of Cherryville always has a special observance for that, and we'll try to have you back to talk about that in the future. But what Sandy said, these men and women who risk their lives every day, and so many died during 9/11 that we really do have a special place in our hearts for the folks and firefighting police officers and everything else.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, anything else you'd like to say before
Just
we
like
go?
to remind folks, July 3rd,
July
downtown Cherryville, festival, start around 6, have a beach band, fireworks. It'll be a great time to celebrate our country's independence.
And that'll be on a Thursday, July 3rd. Okay?
Okay.
And thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it so much. Folks, if you have any questions, I'm sure they could call the fire department if there's... Don't call 911 just for a general question, but if you have a
435-1730.
1730, 435-1730. And like we say, we kind of talking specific today about things in Cherryville, but a lot of this same information goes for no matter where you're listening out there.
Just right across the board, yes.
All right. Sandy, that's it for today's show. And tomorrow is June 4th, a couple of days ahead of the 70th anniversary of D-Day.
D-Day.
And we're going to be talking about D-Day with a couple of historians tomorrow.
We are. Daryl Harkey.
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 Keep wanting to put an S in there,
I
don't you?
keep wanting to do that. I'm sorry, Daryl. And possibly Al Conklin will be here, if not in person, on the phone.
Yeah.
But they are two great historians, and I'm looking forward to hearing them talk about D-Day.
Yeah. And Jeff was telling us before we went on the air, you're a pretty big history buff yourself.
Yes, I am. I especially love the Civil War is my focus, but I love all history, but I'm a Civil War buff.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Well, thank you, folks, for listening in. As always, anytime you have any suggestions for people or topics of interest for the show, please just let us know. And we'll be back tomorrow with the community profile on D-Day, the 70th anniversary coming up. So I hope you'll tune in then.
No matter when you listen,
I put on the radio when I'm getting ready.
We keep it on at work.
we're the station you can count on.
Big O Country, WHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, WCSL Cherryville Gastonia. Father's Day is just around the corner, See Holly's Flowers in historic Uptown Shelby for something special for dear old Dad. Yes, Father's Day is Sunday, June 15th.